this train station is not in range of the machines factory because the machines factory is only attached right here. How do we never notice that? We haven't delivered out a single machine. Alright everybody, hello and welcome back to another episode on Transport Fever 2 in the free mode with me, Spacefish, and welcome back to our beautiful big campaign map. In the last episode, we actually finally took on a little bit of a new business, getting our machine production in Stapleford here connected all the way up to Crawley to go and deliver out some machines, make some more money, generate some more demand, make the factory level up a bit more, but at the same time also kind of, take some first steps at growing Crawley with all the products it's going to receive, of course. And along the way, we also already kind of started making Crawley a bit more of a regional hub then with this a little bigger train station that we've set up here. Because there's going to be a lot of cities connected to this. There's going to be Space City and Aquarium, for example. There's also potential up here where Berkhamsted and Elstree and Havant and Bolsover and everything is located, so quite a bit of potential there for passenger transport in the future, and that's why we already kind of built all that much. So today we are going to take care of actually getting a line going between the machines factory and Crawley then, and we'll also go and get a train deployed alongside. There is a few improvements that we will have to make, and I'll explain why in just a second. But just quickly, before we get started on all that, if you're new around here and if you do happen to enjoy this episode, please make sure to smash that subscribe button right down below. That would mean the absolute world to me. We're currently well on our way to 1,000 subscribers, and every single person truly does help out a ton. With that all out of the way though, why I would really like to go and look at some of these supply chains that we've got going. I know we already did some of this, but there was basically a little bit of an instance in the last episode where I had recorded the episode in its original form, then came back to find that the episode was missing. I thought I had made a mistake recording it, which is why I recorded it again, and then I found the version in the trash can on my desktop. So it was a very, very interesting incident. I evidently had two videos, went with the original one, but in the second one that I had made, I had also discovered some inherent inefficiencies. So we're going to go check that out. First things first though, let's go and actually take care of getting this very connection underway. So we'll be making a new line out here in Stapleford. It's going to go all the way to Crawley, of course. Nicely, beautifully connected, and we won't need a new train depot because this is beautifully connected to the relevant train line. So we're going to kind of have to figure out how big of a train we're going to need here. I mean, in theory, I guess Crawley's not really going to need much of any supply. It's currently at 34. I think we're going to be pre-provisioning a bit because in the end, Crawley's going to grow, the factory's going to grow. And we don't want to come back every 2 seconds. I'm willing to, given our crazy earnings and, the wide array of things that we actually have to take care of, I'm willing to go and sacrifice a bit of productivity, not productivity, a bit of efficiency at this point in favor of saving ourselves a bit of time and all these improvements. So we'll see about that. Now, in general, I think the best carts we still have are 80 kilometers an hour of speed. And this little train out here is technically still the fastest, well, not the fastest, but the cheapest one that we've got going for rather low cargo capacity. And the thing is that the train station, honestly, for this factory is quite far on the edge of Stapleford, so I would not really be too worried about the effect that emissions will be having here. So what I think we will do is, for the time being at least, we will go and use this very train. If we do have some upgrade necessities in the future, or there's maybe like some sort of electric train that's also not all too expensive in terms of maintenance, we'll probably go that way. For the time being, I think it's probably going to suit our needs quite well anyways. Now we'll need to use boxcars evidently, because that's what we transport machines in. And I mean, we're technically already at mediocre. Not too sure if I'm happy with that in the end. What is our cheapest electric locomotive? 1 million a year, as opposed to 355,000 a year. This one I think is too over the top. This one here we could consider. I think in the end the question also kind of is, how much of an incline do we have in this? And I mean, it's not the smallest incline in the world. You've got to consider that we actually need to go across this bridge right here, which does rise quite a lot. We do have only a slight rise in the terrain here, I would say. Which, you know, we could always just turn on the contour lines here real quick to kind of also give ourselves a bit of a better indication. But, you know, there's like some tunnels, there's a rise right here, there's another tunnel, and then there's another one right there, and the train's going to go up that slope. In the end, I don't think it's all too flat. So maybe we're not going to just oversave. I guess we're just going to go with the electric one from the start. And sure, we could go with something like the A35, but at that point, we're really not that far over this maintenance cost anyways, and maybe that's one's future-proofing us a little bit. At the very least, we don't run into much of any risks in terms of emissions in the end. I mean, it's going to go to Crawley too. And, you know, it's hopefully going to be able to nicely keep its speed. So, excellent all the way. And now we're at good, which means, like, I'm not really sure. Well, I mean, I guess the change is in terms of the acceleration times here in the end. That's why we're going down to good. I would say that we're going to try and hit, well, let's maybe try and hit something around 80 for a start. And then we're going to see just how, well, where we end up in terms of a rate based on that, right? And in the worst case, we can always just buy some on-top trains. Also, I've kind of adopted this, accidentally adopted, I must say, this habit now from the campaign mode of not naming lines. In the case of the free play mode, we're of course going to keep doing that. So, this is going to be machines. Was it? Do I always put both? Yeah, I do kind of ideally want to put both cities, I guess. So Stapleford to Crawley. Whoopsie. There we go. Beautiful. So that is our actual line then. We do have the train. Just need to assign it. Right there, like that. And then we can already have a quick look, I hope, at the frequency associated with this. Well, the rate. Which, we're only at 57. So, probably a good decision, honestly. Probably a good decision to not go with the cheapest train we found. I mean, if we're at 57 now, that basically just overcovers demand a tad bit compared to the status quo. And now, you know, it's fine, because there's nothing to deliver anyway. So, you know, that train can go the one way for a second, and we can come back. I'm going to go fast forward this, though. I think we'll expand on a bit. Maybe we won't go all the way to 100 then. Just to keep the train running nice and fast for the time being. And ooh, that is interesting. There's a freight airplane going 350 kilometers an hour. Looks quite intriguing indeed as well. We could have a look at that. Now, in terms of money, I would really like to actually make some money now, so we can actually buy something. I hope we didn't mess up anyway in terms of financials here. In general, I mean, we made like 56 million in our railroad last year, so I would hope that that still populates through in this year. Currently not as much, maybe just a lot of trains on the way currently that have not made us money yet. There we go, that's 3.6 million, I guess, you know. We're in April, it's a lot of time to make money. Still, it's kind of weird compared to last year. Anyways, let's go and edit this thing. We'll go and throw on like 4 boxcars, should be fine. And that gets us to 80 in the end, which is going to last us for quite a while, I would argue. Now, in terms of the profitability of the railroad lines, like right now, I'm not too happy. I'm not quite sure where that stems from. If we go to managing the vehicles, no, managing the lines rather, no, financial overview on the lines. In general, all seems quite positive, to be honest. quite positive. The only one that seems to be negative is like one that takes about 3 years to go from one point to another, but once it gets there, it's going to be wildly positive. And then we've got steel basingstoke staple floor, which I think the issue just is there wasn't much of any steel yet. So that is maybe something to look at too. Wood to Stapleford sawmill is just a very long train line once more. It's this one right here. And I mean, this one's basically just coming back from delivering right now, right? So it's just going to take a while till that one makes money. Overall, guess we're fine financially. Looked a bit weird for a second there, but overall, it looks to be fine. Now, in terms of the steel mill, I think we found something here. As you can see, and that's not what I meant by what I found in the last episode, but this is a worrying one. There's definitely something wrong here. As you can see, we have a lot of iron stored, got a lot of coal stored. We're having a lot of production going on of steel, but there's no shipment whatsoever. And this is kind of like an essential component for the steel, well, not for the steel mill, but for the machines factory. And do you know why that's the case? Because we messed up on this one. Do you see the issue? This train station is not in range of the machines factory because the machines factory is only attached right here. How do we never notice that? We haven't delivered out a single machine. I mean, we have delivered out. No, we cannot have delivered out machines. Yeah, still at 0 out of 41. Never came back to control that. Well, good thing that we spotted that one, because that would have been quite a worrying one indeed. Now, what we can hopefully solve this with is by just connecting a street straight from here to there, ideally. Everything else would be kind of like very messy, because of course we would need to have like trucks go back and forth for like 2 meters, which in the end isn't really all too good. So something like this is what we're going to do, and that's now going to attach that, and that should mean that we finally actually get some delivery of steel, which should actually finally make that profitable. Look at that, 99 shipment. It's chucking it all out for us, and we can actually ship that now to Stapleford to make some machines and make some money. How in the world I never noticed that? I mean, you know, honestly, how in the world I never noticed that? If we look at the amount of connections that we have and manage right now, I guess there's just going to be something that's going to slip through under the radar, but still not great. Still not great at all. So here comes the iron train. Let's see how full this one is at this point. 376. So this iron mine is not quite outputting as much as I would have liked to. The transport rate is also not at the highest level ever. Maybe though. I mean, technically, you know. Maybe I don't really know why. It's fine. It's fine. We'll keep it running like that for now. Cool. So that's that. We are I literally just fast forwarded for like a minute, maybe 2, and we're at $43 million. What am I going to do with all that money? Jesus Christ. I was worrying about our profitability, and I was proven wrong within seconds of fast forwarding. Like, gotta do something with all that money now, I guess. Let's get going on that. So, what I had somewhat discovered was that we were missing apparently a bit of capacity here and there in our delivery lines for trucks. So we had gone through and kind of checked all the delivery stops if everything was fine everywhere, but what we had not actually checked was in the end that we had enough trucks to deliver all this stuff. Because as you can see, for example, right here in Basingstoke, we've got 171 of a demand for fuel, and I don't remember the exact one, so we'll have to see what was happening where. But well, if we go and look at line statistics for Basingstoke, right, we can maybe keep the 2 open, and we go to fuel delivery Basingstoke. We've got a rate of 179, which is beautiful. Now, I still have the feeling that there was maybe something wrong with the fuel here. On the other hand side, no. Well, I mean, you gotta give it that this train honestly doesn't quite have the rate technically necessary. That's also banal, but this one even has the rate necessary. But you can see right here that it's not even being totally filled, and that's also kind of part of the issue, because with this fuel refinery, we've really gotten to a point where, I mean, for a start, we don't seem to be producing the max output, which is quite weird, honestly. But in general, we've kind of gotten to the point with that fuel refinery where it cannot supply all the cities fully anymore. And the thing is, we don't have much of any fuel refineries on this map. The only other one is like right here, I think. When I last looked, I don't think there's any others anywhere. Now you got to give it that there's not really many. Well, there's another one right here actually. But you got to give it that there's not many places needing fuel up and around the northeastern side of the map. Got a few places down here requiring things, but I mean that fuel refinery is pretty freaking far away from anything requiring fuel. So how we do that in the future, we'll kind of have to find out. In the end, I mean, getting a 2 bajillion kilometer train line going again would be an option, but it's still not great. This here, I guess, being like one of our most prominent options, but in the end, we'll have the oil refinery here at least. We've got like 2 oil wells right there. We could get that all nicely connected. Just actually bringing that to some other spot would be a challenge, especially considering that Ride and Sidmouth are also requiring fuel. Then we've got that fuel refinery, but that's like, you know, I don't think that honestly is an option. Sure, I mean, it's only also that requires fuel right here. But maybe we use this fuel refinery to kind of just connect up these 2 cities as well, and then this one kind of just deliver some to here, deliver some to the west, something like that. But in general, you know, that's become a bit of an issue. In terms of the tool delivery, let's check that one too. Tools, Basingstoke, 132 of a rate. And as you can see, we're filling 132 out of 192. So that is one of those examples where we've kind of just not seen the fact just yet that, well, the demand has outgrown our potential with the trucks. So what we'll do here is we will go and grab some new trucks. Technically, I think these here are new as well, but I don't quite get the point. I mean, they are kind of worse in terms of cargo carrying capacity, in terms of power, and it's not really like they have any inherent benefits in terms of maintenance costs too. So we'll go and grab this one. We're going to go grab 3, which should hopefully somewhat already give us a bit of an overcapacity as well, which we'll double check. So we've got tools Basingstoke now at a rate of 212. We had 192. It's not great, to be honest. Especially that given that we can produce 300. Let's go and we'll buy another 2. We'll do the same principle that we just did on the other line. Kind of just already over provision for future demand, so we don't have to come back as often. Because honestly, otherwise it's going to get to the point where we cannot stay on top of these things. So that's Basingstoke taken care of. Now we kind of need to quickly look around for other things that are going similarly, because I do remember that there was a few right here. So in terms of goods right here, we've got a shipment rate of 88, but that includes the goods being shipped to up there, and Broadstairs is honestly below. So let's go and double check that. We have got goods to Broadstairs, rate is 77, we're at 83 demand. So maybe not entirely caused by it. Maybe entirely caused by due to the fact that we just don't have all too many trucks, and maybe they can't. Well, there's kind of like peaks in the supply because, you know, they only really are there in their full capacity every once in a while and not constantly just chucking one unit after another over, right? So, given that we're already below the demand and the demand is surely going to continue rising, we're already going to over provision for that one too. Bricks didn't look too much better, I'm not going to lie. So let's go check that one out too. That should be a train, I think. I mean, bricks to Broadstairs and St. Peter's should be it. We've got a rate of 144, so that's more than fine. Bricks delivery Broadstairs has got 132, so that's also more than fine. I'm not quite sure why we are below the demand right there. Maybe it's just because we're not quite that far yet in terms of the factory. Maybe it's also just because we're not really supplying quite enough. Or the train's just too slow. Could be either of them. Now, what I'm honestly finding quite interesting for this very specific line, because of course we are kind of transporting the bricks over to the aquarium here. What I find quite kind of very, very interesting in that context is the new airplane that we saw. So let's maybe go and quickly also check that out while we're at it. I mean, in the meanwhile, there's been a lot of fancy new airplanes added. These are all like passenger airplanes though. Now this one right here, the Bristol Freighter, apparently has got 14 capacity and 2 compartments, so you could technically, I guess, also carry 2 different kinds of goods. So that's like 40% more, plus it goes nearly twice as fast. Or 75% faster, right? That's quite interesting, not gonna lie. I mean, like, in terms of speed, we had an improvement right here, but, you know, also, it's double the maintenance cost in the end. In the end, what we also maybe have to look at is just how ridden down these aircraft are already. Condition is quite good still. We've got a rate of 46 right there. Now, what interests me as well is how much does... I mean, we're already kind of a bit below the requirement. Let's go and do this, alright? I think we're just going to modernize things, because why not? We've got so much money. There's no reason not to do it in the end. And I think, honestly, it's not really going to give us an inherent benefit in terms of maintenance cost for good movement rate, right? So, I mean, that's always the main relation, of course. But in the end, what it's going to give us is a bit clearer skies. So maybe, you know, we have some more capacity in the airports. We don't have, like, planes queuing like crazy in the future when we've got, like, more things actually going through these specific airports. So we'll just do it now, and we'll be happy ever after. We will go and grab 4 of these planes, I think, for now. Exchange them with the Bristol freighters. Boop. We can check those out in a second. Should be quite cool. I'm going to go and sell 2 of them. And then we're going to go check out the rate again, which is going to have us end up at 43 of a rate, which is beautiful, because that's even a lower rate. Let's just buy another 2, honestly. We'll just buy another 2 and make sure that way that we do have some overcapacities again. So looking at these, quite cool indeed, I would say. Very brand spanking new and shiny and fancy and all. Absolutely loving it. Quite liking the look. Not gonna lie, it's been a bit weird on pictures, but like in this kind of elevation, it does make a lot of sense in my mind. So that's our new freight planes, absolutely awesome. We'll go and check through these things here real quick as well, just to make sure that we actually have the rates matching. Colburn, we've got fuel line Colburn 99, which is not great, but still fine. So we're maybe already gonna touch it. Why not? In the end, we don't want to come back to... Well, actually, no, we're not going to touch it because we can't really supply enough fuel currently anyways, in this specific case, I guess. Food-wise, we have got food Colburn, which is 131, so that's all fine. We have got food delivery truck Colburn, which is at 102, which is not quite fine. So we'll go and upgrade that a tad bit. Let us go and just buy 1 more of these. And we will go and assign that to food delivery truck Colburn. That should pretty much easily solve it for us. It's not really a long distance or something. 153, you're good to go. That was not one of the more prominent issues, I guess. Then we do have the fuel right here, which is honestly also probably just due to the fuel shortages. And then we have goods in Badal, which is an interesting point because I think in terms of shipment rates, we weren't quite there. Or maybe it was the production. We maybe have to check back on that one too. Goods to Badal. We have got a rate of 120, which is more than surpassing that. And I don't quite know how the delivery system works in the city, but as far as I can tell, we've got the Badal exchange right there. So there should just be like 1 delivery line in Badal. Fuel delivery Badal, maybe? No, what's this line here called? Fuel delivery truck Badal. Ooh. Oh. Ah. Aha. Well, you know, I think I've got an idea what could be going wrong here. The thing is that fuel delivery trucks inherently transport fluids. And all the goods in Badal are being delivered to out here. So, in range of the actual truck delivery, not really that much in range of the actual train station. Now, the thing is that given that these trucks can only really deliver fluids, they can't take care of the goodsies for us. So what we're going to do is we're going to go and grab like 2 tarpaulin trucks as well. Just assign that to the same line. We will rename it, I think, because it covers the same things at the very end of the day for the time being. So got to kind of keep track of that. We will call it Fuel and Goods Delivery Truck Badal. Now this way, we should have actually somewhat solved this. Not quite sure if it is in the realms of the required frequencies, to be honest. Let's go and add one more tarpaulin truck just to make sure. But like that, we should be covering that need too, hopefully. So that's another thing fixed in the end. Space City-wise, I'm not sure if we had something similar going on here, to be honest. We have got Tool Space City at a rate of 219. We need 289. I don't even know how we get to 235 right now, but that's evidently too little. And you can see that in our shipment rates. So we're going to go and add like 4? Because, I mean, we all know how quickly Space City grows. Anything below 4 is probably way too little. I hope that's at least going to keep us covered for a while. That's 281. That's still below. Wow. That is still below our demand. Gonna add another 4. We need to maybe find something a little better for... I mean, there is not really anything better for Space City in the end. Maybe we'll get better trucks in the future. I hope we do, because honestly, Jesus Christ, look at the amount of trucks that we're using. Now, in terms of bricks, I feel like it's probably going to be a similar issue. We've got a 299 unit demand. We are actually at 334. So in that very case, we're actually good. I mean, we're quite close to. Shipment rates are quite good. So that is at least checked off. Aquarium should be quite fine, I hope. Let's double check it just to make sure, I guess. Brick delivery aquarium 70. More than fine for that small of a town. So that's quite fine. And then in terms of staple fort, I mean, I think in general that should be quite fresh, and there's not been much of a growth rate on that city yet. Totally fine as well. So that's that then finally solved as well. A good bit, honestly, of improvements that we needed to make there, but I'm quite happy that we did, and we are going to make even more money off that now. So hooray! Now it's going to be 60 million instead of 50 or something like that. All beautiful though. We've also happily solved now the issue at the steel mill. I hope that that is actually finally getting delivered out. Maybe we can have a quick look right here. But you can see the train is beautifully filled with the first bits and bobs of steel, and those are finally being carried to the machine's factory. So a lot of progress made this very episode. Next episode we'll get back. We'll probably finally look at some new ways to make money, maybe get a bit of passenger transport now going between Space City Aquarium and Crawley, maybe get some other goods flowing, maybe also we can look already at getting another fuel refinery going, because that's evidently something that we are a bit short on. A lot of interesting topics. We'll check all that and more out in the next episode. For today, I'll end off right here. I hope you all very much enjoyed it. As usual, if you did, please make sure to hit that like button right down below for the YouTube algorithm. And if you're new around here and haven't done so just yet, also please consider subscribing right down below, as well as smashing that bell icon in order to stay up to date on all the future upcoming episodes. But with all that out of the way, as usual, everybody, thank you so much for watching, and I hope I will catch you in the next episode very, very soon. Ciao.